All right, Steve Kim. Let me show you Chris Jones's post-game press conference. I want to start there. He loafed on the deciding play of the game. Loafed. He gave up, quit, didn't attack the quarterback, let Trevor Lawrence fall down twice, and looked like a man that had no interest in playing football. And some people are like, "Hey, maybe he thought he was tackled and down," and then he gets to his post-game press conference, and that is not Chris Jones's excuse. He basically said, "Oh, I thought we tackled him, or we should have tackled him, or we should have done better there." All right, let's hear from Chris Jones and his excuse for on the biggest play of the game, he took it off. Let's hear from Chris Jones.
I thought multiple times we had him. We just got to finish. We got to finish. We had multiple guys there that we just got to finish that play. It was a fluke play for him to be able to break that many tackles. Um, but yeah, I think I put it on us as a defense. We got to finish. We got to bring him down on that.
So that's Chris Jones, Hall of Fame talent, Hall of Fame career. I've never seen a defensive player give up on a play like this. It's a game deciding play. He stops, he watches. It's embarrassing. It's like, what is this guy doing? And then if you go all the way back to week 1, he
Yeah.
had a play that he got called out on by his teammates right there on the field.
Yep.
Game deciding play or game turning play. Justin Herbert running out of the pocket and picking up a first down on, I think, 3rd and 14. Chris Jones went inside, gave up contain. It's been a very weird season for one of the best defensive players in the NFL. This was just a horrible look for Chris Jones and kind of a suspicious look. It's like, does this guy want to play football? What's he doing? Help me make sense of this Monday Night Football. All the NFL is watching, game deciding play, and Chris Jones decides to sit it out.
There's an old phrase in football: the eye in the sky, which means game tape, does not lie. Chris Jones talks about finishing, right? I heard that. Jason, he didn't start, at least on that play. I found that to be odd. And look, here's the reality: every player has taken a play off. They do. That's the truth. They all play hard, but they don't go 100% each play. They budget their energy, they pick their spots. But with the game on the line, you do not do that. And if we go back further in that game, Trevor Lawrence got stuffed at the 1 inch line on a quarterback sneak. I mean, there's
Fumble.
a time and a place to really play hard. I don't know. And I heard the conversation you and Danny Cannell had. Jason, here's the reality: players at that level, at that point in time, I think a lot of them actually don't play for the love. It's a job. We don't all love our job. You know what we play for? Our paycheck. They are employees. I talk about this in boxing a lot. I tweeted it last week, and some fans who are very naive argued with me. I said, when fighters say that I do it for your entertainment, no, they don't. Jason, they don't take punches for my entertainment. You know what they do it for? For the pay. Nobody gets punched in the face because, man, Steve and Jason, I want to entertain you guys. No, 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 no. You have a right to do things for money. Think about the term professional athlete. But with that said, professional means that you have some obligations, right? On that particular play, there's no other way to say it. From Chris Jones, there was a dereliction of duty.
I'm glad you brought up what Cannell said earlier, and it was fascinating. He basically 70% of the guys in the
Yeah.
NFL really would like to tap out, is basic, but they have
Yes.
to for the money. And I mean, he went as 70%, and I was like, my mind was blown.
Mm.
But I think he's right that the love of the game is so diminished for the overwhelming majority of the locker
Yeah.
room that we shouldn't actually be shocked that Chris Jones, he's made a bunch of money, probably more than 100 million. He's put together a Hall of Fame career. He's won a couple of Super Bowls. It's like he's good, and he's just out there collecting a check, and no one can really challenge him. He's a great talent, but I just don't know how you put that kind of effort on that kind of play on film. But the number that Cannell threw out there, that
Yeah.
70% of these guys would much rather be doing something else, that was pretty fascinating
Yeah.
and mind blowing.
Jason, I think it's actually a little bit higher, but I'll take Danny's word for it. He's been in the NFL locker room. Here's my view of it. Football in most sports is a fun game growing up as a youth, right? And you do it for free. You can't wait to get out there. But once you're forced to do it by obligation, right, and there's a financial incentive, you become much more cynical. And this is where I give football players and even boxers a break. It's a physically taxing sport. It's not like tennis or golf. They have repetitive use injuries, but you're not killing brain cells either. I'm sure you've gone to player reunions for Ball State, and I've been there for like Miami Hurricane events, right? And you look at some of these older players who aren't that much older than you or a little bit younger, and they just walk differently. They're kind of stooped over. They've lost a lot of muscle mass. You can tell they've been through a lot of surgeries. Who can blame them for being a little bit more pragmatic about why they do this? I mean, think about it, Jason. It's one thing to play pickup basketball. A lot of people do it. You have to be some sort of like maniac to play semi-pro football, in my view, to play that particular game, ramming into other men padded the way you do. You must really love the game. And I think at the NFL level, the Peyton Manning and Ray Lewis, they're lifers. They're that rare 2% that would play the game right now. I think everyone else looks at it at a certain point as what it is, an occupation.
Cannell took me to a conversation, Steve, where I was like, hey, man, everybody in the NFL is aware that like 70, 80% of these guys would prefer to be doing something else.
Yeah.
And that it made me say, man, I got to deal with that reality. And maybe they want to turn this into flag football in a real way. And that's the direction we're really headed.
I wouldn't go that far, but look, they are trying to soften a very still violent game. But if you watch the games from the 80s and 90s, it is much more vicious back then. But even now, it's still dangerous. But Jason, it takes me to one of my favorite lines of any movie. And it really explains the plight of a lot of prize fighters. I know them well. I've had off-the-cuff discussions, personal talks with them about why they did it and why they kept coming back. Remember the original Rocky? There was a date between Rocky and a very shy Adrian. They go on the roller rink. They're skating around, kind of. And Adrian asked Rocky, well, why do you fight? And he says, because I can't sing or dance. It's the reality. They can't sing or dance.
Steve, wouldn't the solution be then, rather than keep adding games to the schedule, because they're very close to going 18 games, why wouldn't we go back to 14 games? Or if we're going to 18, again, these players should only be eligible to play in 16 games per season.
Well, Jason,
or 15 games or something.
Talk to the players union. They have acquiesced on all of this. Or how about this? If I'm the players union, how about you expand the roster so more players can play? I look, if I'm the players union and all you care about is the money, then there's a price to pay for the money. But think about it. You have teams now, as you get to the holiday season with these like Christmas Netflix games. Jason, guys are now playing 3 games in like 10 days, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and then you have the artificial turf, which I believe has actually heightened a lot of injuries. Yes. I don't think I think it's actually more dangerous than grass, as studies have shown. And then now you're actually adding more games. But because you're not allowed to do 2-a-days in August, that is where they actually pay the piper and say, hey, it's player safety. Is it really safer? I'm not so sure it is.
I would be satisfied if they went to an 18-game schedule, but you were only eligible for 14 of the games. I would love that. I don't mind. These guys all get hurt anyway, so I don't mind seeing the backup quarterbacks because they're going to play anyway.
And there'd be strategy.
And look, if some of the backup offensive and defensive linemen played, no one would care. The only thing that really people care about is who the quarterback is, handful of star receivers and running backs. But I think that's the solution if they were really trying to fix, manage, properly conduct the NFL. Go ahead. You want your 18-game schedule? Have at it. But the players eligible for 14 of them and making coaches manage the roster, I'd rather see that and force recovery time on these guys.
Yeah.
rather than see them do what Chris Jones and many players do, give a half-hearted effort.
And Jason, if you made it where you had to mandate sit-outs, there'd be a real strategic element to this.
Yes.
I mean, you'd have to look at that schedule saying, that team is so bad, we don't need our starting quarterback. Or that team's good. Or this stretch of games, everyone's playing. So there would be this would really test how coaches feel about their players and the importance of certain games. I actually kind of like that change. I generally think we've overthought it with the schedule, but I actually think, again, but the players' union is supposed to be about us brotherhood, the brotherhood of the players. Why don't they expand the rosters and create more jobs? Again, they only care about the money for themselves. That's the reality.
Why doesn't the media call for any of this? The media that allegedly cares about CTE and player safety. There's some common sense solutions here that everybody could get behind. Like, okay, you want your 18-game schedule. Players are eligible for 14. We'll deal with backups. Now you go to a 60-man or 62-man roster to accommodate that. I think gamblers would be on board and wouldn't care as long as they got NFL to gamble on. They don't care whose jerseys out there, what helmets out there. The solution seems so obvious, but there's no interest in any of them.
Yeah. And Jason, to your question, that is one for Mike Florio and the like.
We'll end right there. Thank you, Steve. Great job.
If you enjoyed that video, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe so you never miss a moment of Fearless.